Welcome to the Rethink Sales Show. My name is Derek Kelly. I'm here with Jim Shorkey and special guests Rodney Little and Sharon Young. Guys, thank
Welcome,
you
guys.
so much for joining us today. Our mission is to help people not only rethink sales, but also help people discover their purpose. So a lot of personal development, a lot of just helping people get past the hurdles in their lives. We would love to hear about the mission of Top Dog Therapy, and then just some questions and some thoughts of how do we help you fulfill your mission and help veterans share what is the mission of Top Dog Therapy and how we can help and how we can empower the audience to help you guys fulfill your mission, because it's really dear to our hearts. Rodney, can you share with us first? And then we'd love to hear from you, Sharon, as well.
Derek, Jim, thank you guys both so much for having us here. We were excited to have this opportunity to come and speak with you guys today. The Top Dog Therapy team, our mission is to take specially trained canines like Penny here today. We utilize them to bring hope through healing by promoting love, attention, and affection everywhere we go. That's what our mission is. We started with a medical boned background and really quickly expanded from hospitals, nursing homes, cancer treatment centers into the education center. And from the education center, we expanded into the recovery programs. And from there, the sky is the limit, Derek and Jim. As you guys know, we do bereavements for funerals, private hostings for families, hospice programs for both organizations and home individuals, which Sharon will be able to tell you about later today. She's done a couple of house calls for our team as well. But our mission needs to get out there more so people can see and hear what we do. And we have some great testimonies for you guys to hear today as well that we'd love to share with you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, phenomenal. I'm always a research guy, so I'm always researching. And I found that so many people are searching for dog therapy services. Like the number, if you look on Google, it's like a straight line up. So why is that? Why this becomes such a need for people? And what specific niche of people are you working with? And how do you fulfill that need?
That's a really great question, because today there's more science, more data, more facts than there ever was before. And now we know that just the presence of a dog in the room can immediately bring your anxiety down. When you touch a dog, you can have an immediate drop in anxiety, in sadness, all these negative emotions we hang on to. And now there's more schools, more medical institutions realizing this. I'm reading news stories across the countries about hospitals that got a emotional support dog, or a courthouse that has a therapy program, or a dog program for kids when they go on the stand, so they can have a dog with them to help their stress levels instead of the person they're testifying against. It's amazing what they've taken man's best friend and used them to do to help us emotionally. It really is. And with my business, we get phone calls from personal psychotherapy offices, detox units, rehab facilities, psych wards, a little bit of everything that has people in need of where our mission lies. And most of these people are broken. They need something. And a lot of times we've done things a certain way for a certain amount of time, being the creatures of habits that we are as humans. Now they see something different and bringing a dog in.
Yeah.
And let's just face it, you can have the same doctor telling you the same thing every day, but bring that dog in once with that wet nose and wagging tail. That'll leave a smile on your face and an impression in your heart for a really long time.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So Sharon, share with us just why this mission matters so much to you. Rodney was just telling me you have so many stories. You could share story after story of the real life impact you've seen on the lives of people through the value of therapy dog services.
I was thinking on the way out, when was my first time that I realized the benefits of a dog? And I was a toddler. Back then, the hunting dogs stayed in the yard, of course, in a dog box, and that was how it was. There was a girl down the street who seemed like she was always getting into trouble. She wasn't much older than me, and anytime she would get in trouble with her parents or at school, they would find her in Danny Boy's dog box with Danny Boy, just rubbing him. And that, I thought to myself, is the first time I saw a therapy dog. We were a blended family. And my 8-year-old brother, who came into our family, had been growing up with 4 sisters, and all of a sudden here he is with 3 brothers and had no clue how to be with brothers. He had a dog, Peanuts, and many times we would find Joe sitting with Peanuts saying, "It's okay, Peanuts. We'll be okay, Peanuts."
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, even before we realized it, our dogs were there for us. For me, I went through a very bad time, both physically and emotionally. And that was when Penny was a puppy and when my Ruby was in her later days. And that's how I came onto the team. My Ruby, we were in a program through the church, and another member of our team and I would go to visit just our shut-ins. And that's how I started. As soon as Rodney presented his vision, this is it, we're a part of this. And Ruby came on, and I have a picture of Ruby hanging above my desk at home. To me, it's the epitome of what we do. She is staring at a woman in a wheelchair, and the woman is staring back, and it's not a blank stare. And that day, I had to drag Ruby out of that room. And within 2 weeks, they were both gone. I always think to myself when I look at that picture, they both knew. There was something about that. We go into the places and we have college students who tell us through final week, "Do you know how many suicides you have stopped?" When a teenager tells you that, you know you have an impact.
And I love that thought. And so anyways, the message today is about self-improvement, self-development, self-help. And so you might ask yourself, what's that? I'm not dealing with therapy dogs. It's the same thing. So when I talked to Rod about the car business and how I did what I did, and he's not in the car business, but the principles that caused me to be successful in the car business are the same principles that are going to cause Top Dog Therapy to be very vibrant and successful as a company. And it is a company.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It is a company. And so with that being said, let me just briefly encapsulate for you, the listener, what is a company? What is an enterprise? What is the free market? What do these terms mean? In essence, what it means is we're find a need as entrepreneurs. We're going to find a need, and then we're going to fulfill that need, satisfy that need in the most efficient manner possible. That's capitalism, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it is. So whether you're selling real estate or cars, or if you're a nurse or a doctor, a lawyer, whatever you are, your job is to find a need and then to satisfy that need in the most efficient manner possible. And then, of course, you charge for that. Now, when you're dealing with a nonprofit, the difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit business is, in Rod and Sharon's case, their profits go to creating another penny. My profits in the automobile business went to the investors. That's the only difference. That's it. But if you're running a nonprofit, ladies and gentlemen, and you're not focused on top-line revenue, in other words, bringing in money, donations, fundraisers, whatever the case may be, we've got to maximize the top end of the financial statement. It's called an income statement. So what can we do to maximize that top line called income, revenue, whatever you want to call it? And that's what I'm working with Rod and Sharon on is, okay, let's focus on that. And then the second line would be expenses. So the income would be money in, the expenses would be money out. And so you're the real estate guy or girl. What can you do to maximize your top line revenue, commissions? What can you do to minimize the expenses? And the difference between those two numbers, revenue and expenses, would be net profit. And in a true, mature business in the United States of America, the quote would be profit maximization. That's what a business is. The business theme would be to maximize those profits to the benefit of the investors, to the benefit of the people that we're serving in the nonprofit scenario. So if it costs $3,000 to create a penny and we need to create 3 more pennies, then we need $9,000. It's not real complicated. So where does that $9,000 come from? It comes from the top line revenue. How do we maximize that? That's where in the Jim Shorkey world of things, we seek expert counsel to find out what is the best way for us to do that. So you're in the real estate business. Get a book on how to sell houses in the most efficient manner possible. Get a book on cars. Get a book on whatever the case may be. I hooked up with Rod, not because I had any particular interest in Rod or Sharon. We got a dog. And Rod is a dog trainer, and he's expert counsel. So in a way, the way we hooked up was me pursuing the mission of self-improvement, right? And I got this dog. He's not here today, but I got this dog that is a pain in the neck, to say the least. He'd much rather go to the bathroom in the house than outside in the yard. He just likes it better in the house, which I can't blame him. I haven't gone to the bathroom out in the yard lately either, so I can see where he's coming from. But Coda. And then, of course, neither one of them are here, by the way, because they be up on Rod right now, licking his face and biting at him. But anyways, what I'm trying to say here, in simple terms, is that I am using this process called Rethinking 2.0, which I used to build the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. That's where it comes from. I can remember talking to Chuck and Derek and say, how did you do what you did? Well, here's what I did. And we started talking and writing and come up with these principles that I did to build the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group. Ironically, I had no idea I was going to have a stroke, but I did. And so, okay, I'm going to use this idea to rebuild Jim Shorkey because I have work to do. I can't give into this thing. Rod here was paralyzed from the waist down.
Yes.
Yes, from the waist on. This isn't something we're making up here. So self-improvement. He's paralyzed from the waist on. Rod decided that just wasn't something that he wanted to give into. Now, no disrespect to anybody. There are people who are paralyzed in some way, shape, or form that they just can't. They're not going to get better, and we don't mean to be disrespectful. But we can at least try. Can't we at least try to get better, to improve? If we can't improve our legs, can we improve our brain? Can we improve our cardiovascular system? Yeah, but you're locked up in a wheelchair. Okay, but there's exercises that Rod can teach you to improve your cardiovascular system. Even though you're not able to walk, you can do different things to do that. And that's where the expert counsel comes from. What can I do? Not what I can't do, but what can I do?
Thank you, Jim. And I just wanted to point out quickly that the idea of self-care and self-help, there is not a person out there who doesn't need help. And with our team, don't be too proud to ask for help, whoever you are, wherever you're at, because we will answer that call. And the Top Dog Therapy program, I like to start with saying that this program is truly a result of a tragedy that turned to a triumph. On July the 9th, 2016, it was a nice, beautiful, sunny day. I was leaving my church in Youngwood on my Harley Davidson. I was going through a green light at Sheetz gas station, and a couple from Maryland to my right-hand side, they ran through the red light. I didn't see them coming. I didn't have a chance to really brace. I just remember waking up after the accident happened. I honestly did not know where I was at. In my mindset, I was back 20 years ago overseas. I asked the paramedics if my legs were still there because I didn't feel like they were attached to my body anymore. And after that, I remember just going under. I woke up at Forbes Hospital in the head trauma unit. Yeah, I was surrounded by a team of doctors and nurses. They let me know that my back was broken, my pelvis was shattered, my hips were both broken, my legs were crushed, broken as well. My ribs were broken on both sides from the weight of the bike. My sternum was cracked from top to bottom, so I couldn't eat, talk, or breathe on my own. It was hard to catch my breath, to even ask questions. My main four fingers were ripped open to the bone. And I do remember coming out of my first back surgery, I was complaining to one of the trauma nurses because my finger on my right hand was hanging there, just flapping around. And I looked at her and I said, "Are you going to do something about this finger?" And she looked at me and said, "Sir, we have a lot more to worry about than your fingers right now."
Wow.
And that kind of put me in the perspective of, wow, I'm in some serious trouble.
Yep.
But 9 surgeries later, about, I want to say 9 months of staying at Forbes, they moved me to RNC Medical Facility by ambulance transport in Greensburg. And that's where my longer medical stay began. I was paralyzed from waist down. I had no feeling. So they had me on Coumadin, a drug to help keep me from clotting. because blood clots were a big worry for not having any activity from waist down. I went through 5 EMG nerve tests, which are very unpleasant to go through, on my back, on my legs, on my hips, just to see if they could read any kind of activity. Were not good. And the reason why we're here right now is my dog Sarge, who's on our shirt, he's no longer here. He's now working in heaven. They let him come stay with me. And I know that not everybody has this opportunity when they go to a medical facility. They probably didn't let Bear come to the hospital with you, I'm guessing. Most people don't have this, but for me, fortunately, Sarge was a working dog. He had a police vest. He worked a police job. We did active missing person cases together. When he lost his handler, his parent, he lost his working purpose, and he also lost the ability to survive, not just thrive. He would not eat. He would not leave the door. So my wife brought him into the hospital with his uniform. They let him stay under my bed where he to thrive, where he to eat. And people weren't allowed to pet him or interact with him other than my wife or myself. But the healing started right there. Every person who came by my door, every person who looked in the room, they got something from that wet nose and that wagging tail. They got that hope. They got that inspiration to get them through their next therapy test. They got the inspiration to get them to the next holiday without their family. And I honestly didn't see it at the time. I really didn't see how that healing started. It took me a long time after to realize it. But go ahead, Jim.
So please, you're not paralyzed. You didn't break your back in a motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
But if we talk about having no hope or minimal hope, this covers a great segment of the United States population. Children, people of all, let's say, 90 years old to 10 years old. And this poor young child just really doesn't have a lot of hope for whatever reason. This 90-year-old person really doesn't have a lot of hope for whatever reason. And it could be anywhere from no hope to minimal hope. But again, the spirit of this whole thing is self-improvement, self-development, self-help, right? We want to get better. If we move from no hope to minimal hope, have we just improved? If we move from minimal hope to incredible hope, haven't we just improved? Isn't that what this is really all about, is giving people hope?
Yeah.
And so in my years trying to figure this whole thing out, I have this great affirmation that I got from Wallace Wattles from a book called How to Get What You Want. And so for Rodney, he was paralyzed. What did he want? He wanted to walk. Can you please stand up? Can you turn around for me? This is amazing. This is a miracle. This is called self-improvement. Rod was in a wheelchair, no feeling in his legs. You heard him say that. This is not something we're making up here for any particular benefit. It's what happened. But through these therapy dogs, and a lot of other stuff, by the way, it wasn't just the therapy dogs.
Right.
Let's be clear about that. The therapy dogs are miracle workers to a limited extent. Yeah. Rodney had to do the push-ups. Rodney had to go for the walks. Rodney had to read the books, take the medicine, whatever. There's a lot of things he had to do as part of this. He had to do his part. But the therapy dogs are just a really great adjunct to what it is that we're trying to do. So when I went to Mr. Hamilton for advice, he gave me a list of 10 things. And that's, of course, okay, but there were several things that I could do. So whatever it is that you can do, let's get to work on that. And I want to be very clear, the can-do stuff, by my definition, has to come from expert counsel. What does that mean? Find somebody who has accomplished what it is that you want to accomplish successfully. This is a winner. They've won. If I was in a situation of being in a wheelchair and being paralyzed like Rodney was, I would have a conversation with Rodney and say, Rodney, you're not paralyzed anymore. What did you do? One of the things I did was Sarge, and I would hear that, and I would listen to that. I would think, I got to get me a Sarge. Mm-hmm. And I would. You believe me, I would. Because I have goals and plans and reasons why that make me cry. So I'm going to get a therapy dog. This is not about you getting a therapy dog. This is about you improving. In the effort to get better, if we do seek expert counsel, and we do have the conversations, and we figure out what that to-do list looks like, and then what that to not do list looks like. In other words, these are the things I should be doing to get better. And these are the things I should stop doing in order to get better. All right. Then the next answer would be to understand this idea that faith without deeds is dead. So I can have all the faith in the world that I'm going to get better, but I got to do the push-ups and whatever else that would entail. I got to do the whole list. So with Mr. Hamilton, when he gave me my list about how to be a better car dealer, how to be a better automobile person, it was 10 items, and I did all 10. I didn't do 9. I did 10. And then I kept going back and getting more ideas. And then when you look at the Jim Shorkey Family Auto Group today, you're seeing evidence that what I say is true. And so we bring Rod and Sharon in today because they're the evidence. You just saw him stand up and turn around. Now, wait a second. What happened to the wheelchair? He kicked it out. Enough of this. And so we really do need to thank Penny and Sarge and all these other, we'll call them dogs. They don't feel like dogs to me. They feel like something way beyond dogs. But at any rate, but the point is that let's not lose sight of the fact that they're $3,000 a piece to get them to the point of where they can even have a chance at helping Rod. And so in your life today, that $3,000 is going to represent something different, but still you need the $3,000 to do what you want to do. It could be paying your mortgage payment. It could be paying your car payment. It could be buying food, whatever the case may be. How can we maximize our income today? That's self-improvement. I'm making X per year. I want to improve that by 20% in 2024. What's your reason why? There's a reason why I make it correct. So no, we set a goal for how much money we want to make in 2024. We set a goal. And then we have to really reflect and ponder, what are the reasons why? I'm sure I could make Rod cry very quickly here if I said, okay, you were in a wheelchair. What are the reasons why you wanted to get out of that wheelchair? We're going to get emotional here.
One of my biggest reasons was I wanted to be able to stand there for my fiance, soon to be wife, when she walked down the aisle to read our vows to each other. I didn't want to do it for my wheelchair. I wanted to look at her in her eyes. And one of my biggest hopes was to be able to stand there and look at her and tell her how much I loved her with those vows.
Why was that important to you?
It was something that I felt I not only wanted to do, but that I could do. I had a task, I had a goal, I wanted to do an action plan, and I wanted to accomplish that goal. And I don't like to give up on any goal that I have.
And you're a military guy, aren't you?
That's right, I am.
Tell me.
I'm Army veteran as well, and thank you.
Yeah, give him a hug, Penny.
When we get a task, we find a way to accomplish our mission by any means necessary. And when I couldn't walk, I had a lot of missions. My biggest mission was getting back to myself to support my house, to be the breadwinner, to walk my dogs again. Sarge did a great job pulling that wheelchair, but that wasn't my life. That's not what I wanted. It's just where I was at that time while I was working through it. But I had a lot of goals, a lot of missions I wanted to accomplish, and I wasn't taking the doctor's answer for the rest of my life, saying, this is what you're going to have to do. This is the hand you have dealt. And I know a lot of people have been in that position. I know a lot of people have heard that there's a very low chance, there's a very low risk, but I could tell you that there's hope. I could tell you that there's people out there who will meet you with that hope. And you have a handful of them sitting with you right here today.
Yeah,
And I will stop at nothing to accomplish our mission.
You made me think of something that one of the funniest movies ever, Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So you're telling me
There's a chance.
not 1 in a million. So you're telling me there's a chance. And that's our job here today is to, if it is 1 in a million, can we make it 2 in a million? Can we make it 3? Still tough odds. Mm-hmm. But at some point it was like, holy cow, now it's a lot better than 1 in a million. And so sometimes the doctors, hey, listen, I had great doctors, but they can be cold and calculating. Is that a scientific versus emotional?
Yeah.
And so you decided you were going to listen to the doctors, which of course you should have, but also listen to your heart.
Yes. And also learn that the body is such an incredible machine that was created and healing itself. And I wanted to give myself the opportunity to heal more and not have my initial diagnosis define the rest of my life.
Well, you've done that.
That's a message I like to share with everybody as well. When it comes to medications, there's more that you can do than what you might be prescribed. There are so many natural, holistic things that can help bring you that healing that you should open yourself up to. Jim said, seek that expert counsel, do that research. A quick internet research helped me so much after I sought my expert counsel with Jim. And I learned about no more duct tape fundraising. It's just follow these rules that Jim is giving us and watch how it applies in a positive way to your life. It really is amazing.
This is not about any one thing. It's number one, where have you been? Number two, where are you now? And number three, where do you really want to go? So maybe you do start a nonprofit, for example, and you might say, well, I don't even know how to do that. Well, let's figure out how to do it. Because, Rob, what did you know about nonprofits?
I knew nothing when I started my first of two. Yeah.
So
nothing.
your day one with Top Dog Therapy Team was, I have no idea what I'm doing.
That's right.
And so our theme continues to be, if Rod can do it, Jim Shorkey can do it.
Yeah.
He had no idea. Obviously, in 1996, my father died March 24th, 1996. My day one after my father died was I had no idea what I was doing. But I thought I did. That's even worse. Rod didn't know what he was doing, and he manned up to it. So I don't know what I'm doing. But I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I did. It's called arrogance. And it took me to bankruptcy imminent. And when I went to Mr. Hamilton to get that advice, that's when the thing really began to change. And I kept doing it and doing it. So if I can do it, and Rod can do it, so can you, no matter what that goal would be. So I want to be very clear about that. Goal, number one. Reasons why, make you emotional, number two. And you heard Rod wanted to walk again, but when we get into the why, that's when it got emotional. He wanted to greet his wife from his feet, not from his wheelchair. No disrespect to anybody who's in a wheelchair. Seriously, we're not judging anybody.
Not at all.
The fact is, he is an individual human being who had a very specific goal. He wanted to stand with his wife. And the reasons made him emotional. So he went to work on expert counsel to figure out how to do that. And so he had to do a lot of stuff to get to that point. It wasn't like he just woke up a day later and said, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to go stand. No, there was a lot of stuff he had to do involving therapy, physical exercises, mental exercises, nutrition, all kinds of stuff. The idea for you today listening is to figure out what the stuff is that you need to do, the to-do list, and what is the stuff that you need to stop doing, the to-not-do list. Rodney, in your journey of gaining the ability to walk again, were there some things that you recall that you had to stop doing that you were maybe even unconsciously doing that is, holy crap, that's a bad idea. Let's stop that. Can you give me a few of those?
Absolutely. One of the first things was, and it took me directly away from self-care, was doubt, saying, I can't. I can't sit up. I can't do this again. I can't go any longer with this pain. My own self-doubt was one of the first things I had to get rid of, was my own bad thinking. So that was one of the first things that I think everybody needs to overcome when they're going through any obstacle in life, whether it's medical, whether it's not. If you doubt yourself, how can you accomplish something?
You can't.
That's probably the thing that sticks out the most, is just my self-doubt. From the shape that I was in, I couldn't see beyond the physical, and my self-doubt just set in. So that was the first thing I really had to overcome and say, you know what, no more of that. And I did get to that point where I started reading a lot, and that was my expert counsel. I started reading about nutrition. We'll save that for another episode. All the things I did packed in a 2.5 year time period of healing, leading me back to feeling again and nerve activity. It was a lot, but if I didn't get rid of the negative things, I never even would have got started on the positive.
That's a great point, and it's all personal experience. But I had a quote from Henry Ford that is, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. And so the fact is, Rod thought he couldn't, and he was right. He couldn't. Until he got that out of his head consistently, he was treading water. And so I really believed that. And I knew that in my heart of hearts that in order for me to get away from bankruptcy imminent, I had to convince myself that I could. And I learned this from Napoleon Hill of Think and Grow Rich. He said that desire, backed by faith, knows no such word as impossible. And I really love that quote. This actually is my favorite. Desire, backed by faith, knows no such word as impossible. So impossible for Rodney is walking. His doctors probably told him, that's great that you want to do that, but not going to happen. It's impossible. And so how can I go from impossible to possibility? The way I did that, what I learned, and this is what you can learn from me today, is I had to grow my desire. And I can prove every bit of this. My definition of desire is you got to want to. And I just have a massive chew on my body right now. I can't control it. It just came in. What is that? So when I think about what I did, on March 24th, 1996, my father died very suddenly. He literally dropped dead. We had no idea. And so I was a stockholder at the time, and I was the heir apparent. So it was Johnny on the spot time. I had to get going. All right. I was the man now, so to speak. And if I knew half as much as I thought I knew when my dad died, I would have been pretty darn smart. The fact is, I had no clue. But worse than that, I thought I knew everything. The ultimate definition of arrogance. I didn't want any help. I didn't need any help. 2 years later, I'm bankruptcy imminent. And I can remember very clearly sitting with Chrysler Corporation because I had called them in because I needed help. That was another example of expert counsel. So I called Chrysler Financial in, and they had brought a team in of auditors to audit my books so that I could figure out what the heck the problem was, right? This is why I'm so familiar with the balance sheet and the income statement. I understand it really well. So it's one thing to not know. It's another thing to think. So anyways, my dad died. My dad ran that business for 22 years. 2 years later, after he died, I'm bankruptcy imminent. So I'm sitting there with Chrysler, and we're having a conversation, and the guy had tears in his eyes, literally had tears in his eyes. And he said to me, "Do you still want to do this?" "What are you talking about?" "Of course I still want to do this. That's why I brought you in." He points behind my dad's desk. We were out on the other side of the desk. He said, "Do you still want to sit behind that desk?" I said, "What are you talking about? That's my dad's desk. I've been wanting to sit behind that desk for my entire life." I said, "Let me tell you something. I'm going to figure this out. I'm not going to be defeated. If I got to work 26 hours out of the next 24, that's exactly what I'm going to do. But I'm going to figure this out." And I would like to have these guys someday, if I even could. What do you think? Do you think I was going to figure it out? And I guarantee you, they would have said, "There is no freaking way. You're not getting out of that wheelchair, Jim. You're not going to walk again. There's no way you're going to do it," because it was that bad. And what drove me forward was I just couldn't live with the fact that my dad ran that business for 22 years. And 2 years after I'm in charge, we're done. We're going out of business. I couldn't live with that fact. I wasn't going to let it happen. So that was the passion. That's why I understand so very well the idea of having a goal and a reason why that makes you cry. And I had that. And I can remember when I got the operating report where we had broke the all-time record for an individual month in terms of profit. This would have been July 1999. Record profit for that particular month. And then the year-to-date number was a record profit for the entire year. So it was after June. So halfway through the year, we had already broke the all-time profit record for an individual year, and then we broke it for the individual month. And I collapsed. I'll never forget it. Just fell to my knees, collapsed, and was overcome with emotion. I couldn't believe it because I did it. And so whatever it is that you want to do, the secret is desire, backed by faith, knows no such word as impossible. And let me conclude with this idea that if I could figure out a way to make my desire stronger and make my faith stronger, and so I grew my faith, and I had to also grow my desire. So desire backed by faith knows no such word as impossible. How do I turn impossible into possible? By growing my desire, growing my faith. I did that. And so that's why I'm very, very near and dear to my heart is this idea of you gotta wanna. And I can remember so clearly, it makes me emotional. I'm sitting in front of Mr. Hamilton. He's behind his desk. I'm on the other side of the desk. And behind him is this sign that says, "You gotta wanna." And I looked at that sign and I thought, man, I really want to, but I don't know how, and I need help. And then from there, I developed this other sign that says, "Yes, I can." It's all one word, just like "you gotta wanna." I developed that one myself. And I just was sitting in front of Mr. Hamilton, and it was like, I don't know how, and I don't know that I even can. I don't know. How would I know? But I did exactly what Mr. Hamilton told me to do. Exactly. I dotted the I's to T's. I did exactly what Napoleon Hill told me to do. I did it. I'm telling you, I did it. And it worked. And that's what Rethink You 2.0 is all about. And that's what this conversation is all about. If we can just offer one piece of evidence that you can, then we have a victory today. That's my soapbox speech, but it's very near and dear to my heart. You can see right here.
Yeah.
I can't BS about this stuff. It is what happened. It is what I did. And I'm so happy and grateful to have Rodney and Sharon here today to preach on us about what they are doing, what they did.